Well, greetings everyone and welcome back to the Bond Geek channel. I am, of course, your host. I am the one and only Henry Stevens. And joining me today, as you can see on screen from the Bond Bulletin, I am super hyped, super pumped to welcome Benjamin onto the channel. Benjamin, hello to you. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
It is truly, the pleasure is well and truly mine. I've been really excited about potentially getting you on the channel here. I've been really excited about talking not only about yourself, about James Bond, but also about your next documentary coming out, which I really just want to really push out again, which I think will be amazing. So before we get into chatting, obviously, about James Bond, and as you can see, I'm currently on Drax's second mission base there, purely just because my background is terrible at the moment.
But it's lovely.
Yeah.
Who doesn't love a space? Space is great.
Very soon, if you want, I might introduce my boss to the airlock. Who knows? But before we get into anything further, Benjamin, can you just explain to everybody, if they don't know already, a bit about yourself and where they can find you?
Well, the Bond Bulletin started in 2012 as a written blog and a website, thebondbulletin.com. I recently relaunched it, but the blog is gone because everybody has gone from the written word to visual entertainment. So I moved to YouTube in 2019. That's where you can find me. YouTube channel, The Bond Bulletin. It's enough if you type it into YouTube's search. And that's what I have been doing since 2019. YouTube videos preserving the history of 007, making features, like feature documentaries. You said it in the beginning, and I'm working on one now, but we go into that later. Little clips about unknown facts of the Bond universe, things I observed, things that other people observed, and of course, panel discussions with analysis. And I launched a podcast this year in February called The Golden Grotto Lounge, where I meet with other Bond aficionados to talk Bond with varying subjects and guests, and we made it like the setting is somewhere in the Caribbean. There's piano music in the background, and there's drinks that all go on Eon's bill. And yeah, it's great because I can meet other people and we can share opinions and analysis about our favorite hobby, which fills many hours of the day. Yeah.
No, here to that. I mean, there's so many things right about I just wanted to sort of launch and chat to you about so much here. As one Bond fan to another, I mean, I think, I'm going to have to start very traditional, but I'm going to have to start off with this, Benjamin. For you, what was your entry point into James Bond? What was the movie, the game, the book? How did you get into it?
It's a funny story, really. It was a complete accident. And it's... Now, I always think about when I see interviews with celebrities, I always think they're always telling the same stories. But here I am telling the same story over and over again. But it was actually an accident in, I think it was early 1996 when Goldeneye came out in Germany. And I was living in the south of Germany at the time. I was in a home for boys because I had trouble in my family life. I had trouble with my mother. And she put me there for 3 years to get corrected, let's say, which worked fine. Here I am. And she came to visit and we went to the cinema and we wanted to see Michelle Pfeiffer's film, Dangerous Minds.
Okay.
That was the plan. And very, very small rural area in the south of Germany, a cinema with 2 screening rooms. And back then you had 35 millimeter projection, of course. And the projector for Dangerous Minds had broken down. So everybody who had tickets for that film had the option to go into the other screening room where they had Goldeneye. But of course, that was a problem because Goldeneye was not for 15-year-old boys, right? But my mum was there. So they said, absolutely no problem. There's a parent. So go see that. And I remember what the man at the ticket counter said. He said, it's especially nice for young boys. It's a long-running film series, nice for young boys. And my mom knew James Bond, of course, not personally. But that was the exposure, the first exposure. And just seeing the gun barrel dots and then the superb opening sequence, I thought, what the hell is that? That is so over the top. It's action laden is and a star, Pierce Brosnan, so immaculate, so worldly, such panache. and I loved it from the first to the last minute. But I became a fan with Tomorrow Never Dies, which raised the style level by 200%. And then I thought, wow, I want to be that person. I want to be exactly the person who is on screen there, saving the world, dashing, everything that we know Bond is. Yeah.
Oh no, I love the fact that it's Goldeneye. I'm very much the same. I'm Goldeneye. You probably saw it at an appropriate age. I saw Goldeneye when I was 4 years old.
That's early, yeah. That's
okay,
you win.
I know everyone on the channel knows it just for you, Benjamin, because I know you will love this story. I know you will. So I have an older brother, 3 years old. My mum rented Goldeneye and The Mask of Zorro from Blockbuster.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the double feature Martin Campbell, I did not realise.
But they're pretty much the same year, I think. They were produced the same year.
So it was just after. It was 96 I saw it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And basically, my mum rented it for herself and my dad and my older brother. Thought, you can just watch a bit of it, Henry. You'll be fine with it. Apparently, I was like this. I would not stop. Then I demanded to watch it the next day. Kept on. But the story I tell everyone, which I think is so sweet and so beautiful, is, again, watching Goldeneye for the first time. There's the very famous sex scene between Xena Onatopp and the General. Very, I think, famous in the Bond community. I was just watching this, and this is, as a 4-year-old, my introduction to this world part of life. To which all my mum remembers me doing as a 4-year-old, just looking up and going, "Mummy, what are they doing?" She didn't know what to say, what to do. She just told me to shut up and watch the film. Mm-hmm. But no, I like you. Again, I think Tomorrow Never Dies is criminally underrated as well.
It is, yeah. I agree.
For so many else. So again, I mean, like myself, it's the Brosnan era. I think. Do you feel most attached to, really?
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
All right. So I'm going to have to lead on to this. What's your thoughts on Die Another Day?
It is a good film. Changed my mind. Because what you have to remember, what everybody has to remember, is what Roger Moore always said: it's 2 hours of good fun and entertainment. The Bond series has never been a series of films like art house cinema. When you go into a Bond film, you don't want a drama presented to you where you are lost in deep thought. You want 2 hours of escapism and entertainment. And I quickly learned that the films are just that. Of course, now when you re-watch them occasionally, you find things and you say, oh, that's deep, what they did there. But it's not a lot. And Die Another Day is fun. It is fantastic fun. Yes, it has this bad CGI with the ice surfing and all of that. And it has plot holes. Yes, so had The World Is Not Enough, and Tomorrow Never Dies, and Goldeneye, and the films that came before that. They all have weaknesses, but also a lot of strengths. I mean, and yeah, David Arnold's score, it was way too electronic in the hovercraft chase and things. But I had fun when I went to the cinema, even after seeing Die Another Day. Moving on a few years, seeing Casino Royale, I also had fun, but Quantum was the first film where I came out and thought, the only thing I have is a headache.
Oh, I you know what? Let's move straight on to Quantum from there, because I think you and me could probably rant a bit about this. For me, Quantum was the Bond film. No disrespect to David Zaritsky from the Bond experience, who I know is really, defending this film. Good on you, mate, so much. But it's not against the film per se, because I was actually excited about an idea of a direct sequel. I thought it could really work. But as soon as he went into the Bourne quick cut shot, very quick shot, I was literally just like, oh, please, just no. And, there were issues with Quantum of Solace I'm going to be honest, it probably is one of the lesser ones I watch out of all of them. I think that's fair. But, there are still some good points about it. But again, I think Quantum, maybe I was at the wrong age or something. I don't know. I came out of it thinking, no, that was good. I was trying to convince myself so much that was good. That was deep. That was intriguing. I look back at it now, I'm just like, apart from the opera sequence, I really wouldn't maybe just the line like my friends call me Dominic. I'm sure they do. I lie, but outside of that, I can't think of anything really great about that film.
There is a lot that is great about that film, but for me, it is going to the cinema, being really hyped for a Bond film, which we are always when a new Bond film is on. I mean, we are hyped. We don't know what we get. Of course, we have the critic's opinion beforehand, but I'm the critic when I go to the cinema. I'm the audience. And it's true, it gave me a headache. And I did not like it in the beginning. And then there will be fans that quickly say, you have to watch it a second time or a third time or a fourth time. It gets better with age. It's like a wine. And I said, no, it's not. It is still the same film. My feeling does not change. It's the same with No Time to Die. Again, moving ahead, I guess you have a question for No Time to Die as well. Because everybody has that up their sleeves. But still, when I go to the cinema and I am prepared for what I said, 2 hours of fun and escapism and action, I didn't get that with Quantum of Solace. First of all, it was the shortest Bond film ever. It was so fast cut, as you said, and you're absolutely right there. And I think that was the reason for the headache, because you tried to follow everything that went on screen. I later realized, okay, yes, they did something there. I see what they wanted to do there.
100%.
Cutting it for a modern audience, modern audiences like Bourne and Mission Impossible. And it is always bad to take Mission Impossible as a reference, or even Jason Bourne, because Bond is Bond and we cherish Bond, but comparison has to be allowed.
I think
it has to be valid.
I think it's quite essential that we do a comparison, because
absolutely,
I think, outside of Bond, I love Mission Impossible. I've grown up with that as much as that, and I love seeing for me, Bond is like the lone agent going out into the world. Mission Impossible is like, it's the group of agents, it's its own unique different thing, and I love comparing.
It's a team effort.
And I love comparing them. I love seeing like Mission Impossible does this thing, or Bond does this and Bond does it this way, and I think that's great. I mean, if anything, I think probably Tom Cruise would actually be more of a support, saying, come on, get those Bond films out, we need them, they're great.
But what I loved about Quantum, you said the line that Dominic Green said. He had some great lines. He was a pretty pale villain, but recently in my podcast we discussed Quantum as well, and especially also villains we talked about. And on my game show I had a picture of Dominic Green, and nobody realized that this was the scene Dominic Green was in, because he comes across as so pale, as so worthless as a villain. I'm not afraid of him. But then a friend from France said, well, these are the people you should be most afraid of, the quiet ones, because they operate in the shadows. And then you start like, okay, and that's so typical Bond. I mean, a villain can be pale, but the delivery of his line, you both go well together, you're both damaged goods.
Yeah, that was
this
really
is
good.
Something so evil to say. Imagine yourself saying something like that in an everyday situation. You would come across as so evil, but at the same time, very refined in your speech. And I mean, hitting people where it hurts with language is something fantastic.
I mean, that to me, that is one of the greatness things about Fleming I love the most. And even when the modern Bond films do it, it's great, where it's the jousting between the hero and the villain. It's not just gunfights. It's on the golf course. It's the verbal over, like, even in Never Say Never Again, like, the game of domination, the video games, that jousting. It's when you get that in a Bond film, it's electric. I mean, we'll go on to other Bond films, but in like No Time to Die, the scene between Safin and Bond, for me, I was just like, I could have happily watched that on repeat, because the jousting between the two was so good. Whether you like Safin or not, and I, by the way, fully understand if people do or don't, the jousting between them was terrific. And I think it's just one of the things I love in the Bond novels, games, movies, is that jousting. I mean, going back to Die Another Day, I love Gustav Grez. I love Toby Stevens as an actor. The jousting, boasting between those two was just like, yes, more please, happy, just feed me.
Yeah, it was really good. I mean, I loved his portrayal as well. I was also not afraid of Dominic Green. If he would cross paths with me in real life as a villain, and if I was Bond, I would not find him menacing or threatening. This happens a lot with Bond villains, but Hugo Drax I would find really menacing. But for many, he did not come across as such. But you have to look deeper into the character and what they do on screen. And of course, in a book, you have much more opportunity to refine these characters, and Fleming did that really well. But Gustav Graves, as you say, it was language. The jousting between the antagonist and the protagonist is really key in many, many scenes. And the Bond films do that really well. Also between Bond and some female characters, there is really good dialogue throughout the series. And you only realize later what an impact this has on the scene. Maybe they thought about doing it this way for that purpose, but maybe it was accidental. I think most of it was accidental, but today it comes across as, wow, I found something. Look at that. For example, when he speaks to Major Anu Amasova in the hotel room, and she asks him, "Did you kill my boyfriend?" And he turns around, and I always said this, why does he turn around? In a conversation, he thinks about his answer and he decides not to lie. This is very important for Bond's persona. And for the character on screen. And for everybody else, it's just a normal scene.
Oh, I think it's so much deeper than that. I mean, that scene is one of the things you're saying. Well, everyone says Roger Moore was, people say, oh, was he really much of a big actor? Look at that scene. Look at that scene and you'll see one. I mean, I know we're jumping all about the place, but again, Roger Moore, I think, I used to say that Dalton was the most underrated James Bond, and I still think he's really. I sometimes think a bit now Roger Moore is slightly, not because not everyone loves him, but people don't realise that, again, an opinion of mine, want to share it with you. Roger Moore is the only actor, I think, in the series who's gone every different film he did and played it slightly differently every single time. He played it darker, he played it lighter, he played it more sort of, more middle of the road. He played, okay, the story now into this area, I'm going to move my Bond to this area a bit. I'm getting older now, so I'm going to change it a bit more. That it was always a bit, if you look at it, thinking it's a bit of a surprise, really, of how he's going to do it slightly.
Variation.
Yeah. I really do.
And actors being underrated, it changes from week to week. I mean, just a month ago or so, there was all this Brosnan hate exploding on Twitter, and it was just, Brosnan's era was so bad, and it did the Bond series nothing good. And my friends and me, we were sitting here saying, can you really grasp what you're writing there? I mean, you can hate Brosnan, you can hate Craig, you can hate Moore, but they all are part of the series, and they kept the series from dying. I mean, everybody brought something to the part, and everybody brought something great. Sure, there were scenes where we say, well, that's not my Bond. A lot of people would say Timothy Dalton is not my Bond. But you have to look at of both films combined. You have to look at both films combined and the time where they were made and for what kind of audience it was made. They are always a product of their time. And each actor tried to give it the best. I would never say there was an actor who did not give their best to the role. Even George Lazenby.
100%.
He tried his best with what he was given, and he was given a lot. I mean, he was given Diana Rigg to make it a little bit better, to make up for what he did not have in acting experience, but still. And I had run-ins with George Lazenby. I don't like him as a person, but still, his performance on screen was really good.
No,
it is a good film.
No, I really do. I mean, On the Majestic Service is the one for me that I think has grown on me over time more than anything. So when I watched it I used to watch the Bond films like with my grandfather. He grew up in this, obviously 60s Connery was his thing. He loved Brosnan because he saw how excited I got. Loved it. Wasn't a fan of Daniel Craig really, but I think he was just, respectfully to him, he was just getting very old in life, and he wanted what he knew. But he never liked On the Majestic Service. He never liked the idea of hypnotic girls and all that stuff. But I think as I watched it a bit more, I sort of, taking out Lazenby, I just appreciated the film a lot more for what actually it did. It got me so, to think about what we could have had with a What If Diamonds Are Forever, potentially. It makes it a bit more of a sour pill, really.
Yeah. Could you imagine Diamonds Are Forever with Lazenby?
I think so. I mean, I did a video on this, and I want to bring into like the what ifs a bit here with you, because I think this will be interesting. I think if we were to have a George Lazenby, Peter Hunt directed Diamonds Are Forever as a proper like two-parter story, I think either that would have been something like one of the people consider the pinnacle of the Bond franchise, nearly potentially looking back, or if we could have had, and I did another what if of this, if Connery did stay for On Her Majesty's, got really excited about this is what he wanted really Bond to be, and still carried on did Diamonds, and then I think, even though I think Brosnan's the best, I think if Connery really wanted to do On Her Majesty's and Diamonds, there would have been no competition. That he was Bond.
Yeah, I really would have to go deep into myself to imagine Sean Connery in On Her Majesty's Secret Service, but I don't see that. I don't know why. I could see George Lazenby in Diamonds Are Forever as a more darker, different, because that film is so over the top. It is. I mean, when I have a bad day, I watch Diamonds Are Forever because I know I laugh, and I watch it with a German translation, with a German dubbing, because it's even weirder. But as a two-parter, On Her Majesty's and Diamonds, as a direct sequel, would have been a first for the Bond series, and I could imagine Lazenby in it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, in an ideal world, I would have loved like the opening of the novel Man with the Golden Gun, where M decides, giving you a mission that's nearly impossible, using that as and then going through the diamond thing. I think that would have been great. But just keeping on what ifs here, on my channel, I do a lot of what ifs because I love, if you're multiverse of madness, I love sort of, going down these rabbit holes.
That's good.
So
count me in.
I'd love to ask you, is there any like what ifs outside of what we've discussed you would have loved to have seen in the Bond franchise?
In general?
Yeah, just in general. I mean, I've done things like if Dalton started in Octopussy or like A View to a Kill. I've done like if Brosnan got his 5th Bond film, what it would have been like. What if Connery started with Casino Royale and they did the film, the books chronologically, anything.
Of course, growing up with Brosnan, I of course would have supported a 5th film. I would have loved it. I was waiting for it, actually. And the way they kicked him out, you have to say it, they kicked him out, was not nice of Eon Productions. And he would have had another film in him. And when I saw The Foreigner, I think it was, I thought, well, he's a couple of years older, but he could still be Bond. He goes, this is my Bond, and he still looks the part, and he can still do action. It was really, really good. So I could have imagined that. At some point, I asked myself also the question, what if spin-offs? If that would be something I would watch, to have an extended universe, because usually you can give me everything with Bond on it. I loved that we always had a game accompanying a film. That somehow stopped. I mean, when was the last game?
Don't
the last
get me
proper
started
game
on
was
that. Oh, don't get me started on that. I'm
007 Legends.
I'm angry that I haven't got proper Bond
And
games.
007 Legends. That was the game where I threw my chair through the room because it was impossible to play.
It was dull.
It was and I accidentally recorded it. Not the chair throwing, but me playing the skiing sequence. It was rubbish. It was rubbish. The controls were rubbish. Everything was rubbish about it, except what David Arnold did.
He's the premise is all right. I mean, I know. I'm not sure if you play them. I play the Lego games because they're like easy just to pick up and play. If you did a Bond game in the way that the Lego games do, where you literally have multiple levels per all the films, and then you can choose which Bond sort of you pick and do it. That I think would be like one of the greatest Bond games of all time if they did that. But you are so right. The fact that we have not got any video games, all the remasters of Age Under Fire, Nightfire, Everything or Nothing from Russia with Love, the reason I still have a PS2 in my house, outside wanting to do some recordings myself, is just so I can play those games again, and maybe Time Splitters a bit as well.
I can understand. I can absolutely understand. I have it too. I just don't know where the power cable is.
Yeah.
I just don't know why. But so I stick to watch-alongs. But true. I bought the PlayStation. I think going further back, I bought the Nintendo 64 just for GoldenEye.
Oh yeah.
There was no other game I wanted to play. Just GoldenEye and The World Is Not Enough. And these are the two games that I own for this console. No other game. The PlayStation I bought for Agent Under Fire. I bought Agent Under Fire first. I didn't even know what it was for. And when it said PS2, well, then I asked somebody and said, I need a PlayStation for it. Yeah, okay, that thing. Okay. And then I went and got a PlayStation. And I had some more games for that, but also mainly for Bond. So I have all the Bonds on PlayStation and Metal Gear Solid or something.
Oh, Metal Gear Solid, I love that song. That could be a whole different video, just you and me chatting about Metal Gear Solid. So good.
So Snake Eater, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. But
Nights when I was still young. Yeah.
I like to remember those days myself.
Oh, where's the time gone? Oh.
But no, I mean, you know, I think I'll just go on video games again. I have so many happy memories of like my older brother, my younger sister, even my best friend, my brother's friends. We'd all come in, grab a multi-tab. We do Nightfire multiplayer religiously. I mean, there was one we liked. It's the Skyrail level. We get the rockets that you can control, and we just find hiding spaces. It was. I mean, I did a video with my brother on this channel, and you could just. Everyone was just saying you could tell the nostalgic we had for that. And to be honest, let me ask you this as a fan of Bond games as well, because I really like to hear this. I don't understand why we haven't got remasters or at least versions of these games hopefully put on to, like, you know, the PlayStation Store or Xbox Live, because I think maybe I'm biased because we are Bond fans, but I know so many people who grew up with these games, they would sort of buy them just to replay them. And I'm sorry, for me, I think for Eon, for EA, even though they are absolute B words, EA, not Eon, it's such quick, easy money.
True. Yeah. And probably they never got round to calculating what kind of money is in store for them if they do it. Yeah. But who says it will never happen? I mean, so many games get remastered and with new HD content, with new graphics. Why not somewhere down the line? I mean, even if it takes a couple of years, maybe they do it. What I found in the recent years is that fans do much better games than the big studios do. I mean, we're waiting now for the Bond game by the
Hitman
production company that does the Hitman games, you know, by IO Interactive.
Yeah.
Why would you put out a teaser for a game that never arrives? It baffles me. And that every executive will tell you, don't tease them when you've got nothing. But they did. So, and now people are waiting and they're asking themselves the same question as we now do. Where is it? When is it coming? And if that is not coming, why don't you give us the rest? But my friend from Switzerland, Yannick Zenosen, who does my music, he did a video game in the whole time where IO Interactive was not able to do it. And it is coming. And he just teased it on his channel with me as a host. Dangerous Connections, it is called. And he did it all on his own. Programming in the Unreal Engine, everything. By the time your video will be online, so you have to make a cut here, all of this will have premiered. So
I know, I can't wait. No, I will definitely watch out for it.
That's why I threw it in here.
No, please.
Shameless advertising.
No, please, by all means. I've no, you know.
But this is. I was on the same page with Yannick. There are no games produced for us anymore. Because when I look at games that are available now, there is not one game I would like to play. I'm a shooter person myself. I love shooters, ego shooters, third-person shooters. The last great game I played was Red Dead Redemption 2.
Okay, yeah, that's a really good game.
After that, there was nothing that remotely interested me. Let alone something that has a spy story. But his focus is only that, giving us basically a glorified Goldeneye in a Cold War setting. and he did it all by himself, from 0 pixels to a glorious world with snow and Russian trucks and Russian villains, and even I'm in there. I mean, I'm in there as a British spy. You will meet me in the game. You will meet Jeff Timoshuk, who composed the music for Nightfire. He will be in the game. His likeness will be in the game. Dr. Doak from Goldeneye also. What game gives you that? You as a fan will notice, and you will know that's him. That's Dr. Doak.
We need Dr. Doak in the live action movies, quite frankly.
That would be nice, wouldn't it? That would really be nice. Yeah.
No.